Member from Vancouver Fairview.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. We hear a lot about the green economy in the media. We hear about it in this chamber. Many people are talking about it, so I thought it might be worthwhile to just look at one of the very many definitions we see about it. And from the United Nations Environment Program, the green economy is defined as work that contributes substantially to preserving or restoring environmental quality, including jobs that reduce energy and decarbonize the economy. In British Columbia, and I will confess that I would like to add this to the definition, I think we also want to look at jobs that simply have lower impact on the environment generally, such as tourism, such as value-added forestry. These are important parts of the BC economy, and they provide alternatives to many aspects of the economy which are more carbon intensive and to which we seek better ways of doing things. So with that in mind, I am going to focus my remarks particularly on the technology sector as I talk about the green economy, although not exclusively this morning. As I woke up this morning, I was listening to a CBC Radio News, national news segment on the booming tech sector in Vancouver, how many jobs are involved, the tremendous entrepreneurship and innovation that we see in not just Vancouver, but in the high-tech sector throughout British Columbia. Let me contrast this somewhat with what we've heard from this government over the past couple of years. I attended about a year ago a LNG conference that was in Vancouver, and I listened to the Premier's speech, and one remark the Premier made struck me, and it struck me in particular recently because it stands in such contrast to what we've heard recently from the government. The Premier said, and I paraphrase as closely as I can, that there isn't a single policy decision that we make in government without looking at it through the lens of what does it do to further our LNG sector. That seemed to me to be a very single-minded focus of government, and yet when I listened to the throne speech recently, following the crash in oil prices and knowing that we will not have an LNG plant up and running in 2015, we don't have a single investment decision made, the Premier correctly pointed out that we have a diversified economy in British Columbia, and that's one of the reasons that we're withstanding some of the shocks being felt in other jurisdictions in Canada. That's true, and that's why a diversified economy is important in addition to the other benefits it brings to the economy, the fact that we can build good jobs, we can build high-paying jobs, we can diversify the economy throughout areas of British Columbia that have been dependent on resources without creating the kinds of conflict that we see over environmental issues or First Nations issues. And we can also apply technology to the resource sector to make it less carbon intensive. The tech sector employs many people. In the past 20 years, it's grown sixfold. As of the last accounting in 2014, we have over 84,000 people employed in the sector in more than 9,000 companies. That's more workers that are employed in all of the resource industries combined. The sector is growing at double the rate of the provincial economy, and wages are 66% higher than the BC industrial average. That's the good news. And we all laud the tech sector and its success in British Columbia, whether it's in the Lower Mainland, whether it's in Victoria, whether it's in Surrey, whether it's in Kelowna. But a recent report card done by KPMG on behalf of the BC Technology Industry Association pointed out that compared to the rest of British Columbia industry, the sector gets an A. But compared to other provinces in Canada, it's only a C+. And the reasons for this are that per capita GDP continues to be lower in BC than other provinces with significant technology sectors and significantly lower than the United States. Per capita employment in the tech sector is lower than provinces with significant tech sectors. And BC lags other provinces in engineering, science, and most other tech-related undergraduate and graduate degrees granted. Recently, an organization called Conversations for Responsible Economic Development issued a report titled, "Is BC Poised to be the Next Tech Hotspot?" I would hope we are. I would hope we would take the measures necessary and the measures that government can take to build the tech sector. But we don't appear to be doing enough, Honourable Speaker. We have heard a lot about resources and liquid natural gas in particular. We've seen money and budgets devoted to that industry, and that may well be important, but we haven't seen a corresponding investment in the tech sector, and in particular, we haven't seen a corresponding investment that matches the recommendations of the Technology Industry Association, recommendations that were made after some fairly significant consultation. They said we need more early-stage investment. They recommended, Honourable Speaker, that the Small Business Venture Capital Program be expanded to $50 million. Instead, in this budget, Honourable Speaker, we've seen a small increase, it is an increase, a small increase of $3 million to bring the total to $26 million. They also recommended that we partner with the federal government, $50 million and $50 million, to create a regional fund of funds under the Venture Capital Action Plan that could boost investment in the tech sector. Why is this important, Honourable Speaker? It's important because there are many startup companies already going in British Columbia that will wither for lack of early-stage capital investment. Honourable Speaker, there are other areas in which we can invest, we should invest. Let me mention retrofits and energy efficiency, which account for help address the issue of major sources of greenhouse gas emissions. The Pembina Institute has estimated that intensive upgrades of 100,000 homes would see 14,000 to 30,000 person years of employment. Honourable Speaker, we have many choices ahead of us. This government and this chamber could lead the way. I hope we will.
Member for Delta North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank the member opposite for his comments, and I think he and I both agree on a lot of things, and first and foremost is that the tech sector in this province is thriving, will continue to thrive, and I will do what I can in my position in this chamber to help support that going forward. And I know this government has been accused of putting all of our eggs in one basket when it comes to LNG. I'd like to contrary those statements with the fact that the member opposite did acknowledge the fact that we do have a diversified economy. But right now, Mr. Speaker, LNG is a serious focus. So we're paying a lot of attention to it on this side of the House, as we have paid attention to the tech sector in the past and made that a very serious focus. We've made forestry a serious focus, mining a serious focus, and tourism a serious focus in the past, Mr. Speaker, when it was their time. These economies often begin to take on a life of their own and grow themselves as they go forward, but right now it's LNG, and that's something we have to pay considerable attention to, at least from this side of the House, going forward. But, Mr. Speaker, again, I thank the member opposite for bringing this topic for debate, because it allows us to highlight and reinforce what British Columbia's role has been as a world leader in innovative technology and green energy in this province. They're powerful economic drivers, Mr. Speaker, and they continue to create green jobs and new investments across the province, and we believe that technology enables growth in all sectors of the economy, and growth means jobs for BC families. The BC Jobs Plan is our province's strategy to grow jobs and the economy, and it focuses on exports, infrastructure, and job creation. Technology is one of the 8 key sectors targeted in the BC Jobs Plan, and it's increasingly a key driver for our economy. Technology has been the second fastest private sector job creator over the past decade. Many large companies are moving to Vancouver and hiring local talent. Microsoft, Amazon, Twitter, all have opened offices in BC and are employing local workers. There's also homegrown success stories like Hootsuite and Global Relay, Westport, and stem cell technologies, which are all competing at global levels. The technology areas showing particular growth are visual effects, software development, life sciences, aerospace. Clean technology is quickly developing a subsector, crossing over many traditional industries and creating more efficient, effective, and sustainable practices. And the tech sector boasts other key sectors, including agriculture, LNG, resource extraction, and healthcare. The global market for clean technology and services is expected to grow to $3 trillion by 2020. Over the next decade, producers of clean, renewable technologies have the potential to attract more than $36 billion in new investment in this province. And we're currently developing a comprehensive BC technology and innovation strategy as an update to the 2012 BC technology strategy. And its goal is to strategically map out how to accelerate BC's economic performance by supporting innovative commercialization and entrepreneurship. And the strategy will be the government's roadmap for supporting our tech sector, including building on regional strengths to create new opportunities. BC's largest tech hubs, Mr. Speaker, are Vancouver, Victoria, Kelowna, Kamloops, and Nanaimo, and they're all growing very quickly. And this was reaffirmed by the BC Technology Report Card in 2014. And the report confirms that technology has become a critical economic engine, not only driving tech industry growth beyond its $23 billion mark, but contributing to innovation and success in a range of provincial markets and sectors. BC's technology sector is responsible for significant revenue, job creation, and the technological developments that are used in a wide range of sectors in this province, Mr. Speaker, and we've seen huge successes, as the report card acknowledges. And Honourable Speaker, and it's because of these factors that British Columbia is a role model and a world leader in alternative energy and green technology, and it's solidified that we are a powerful economic driver that continues to create green jobs, new investment across the province. As we go forward, Mr. Speaker, it's my intention to keep supporting this industry. It's good for our province. It creates good, sustainable, long-term jobs for the economic benefit of everyone here. And with those remarks, I will conclude my statement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank the member. Recognize the member for Vancouver Fairview.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. The member opposite and many members opposite continually point to their commitment to the tech sector, the laudable success of this sector, and there has been success. But the reason I raise this issue is when you have a successful sector, it seems to me it's a good indicator that more energy should be put into helping to grow jobs and that sector's contribution to the economy. And that's why the BC Technology Industry Association forecasts show that with early stage venture capital investment, we could grow to $50 billion in industry revenue, account for 16% of the provincial GDP, and be at 142,000 jobs by 2020. Honourable Speaker, that's 31,000 more jobs than the BCTIA says we will have without targeted supportive government action, without support for the companies in the pipeline, without support and leveraging private sector investment with a commitment from government to provide more venture capital. And to the members' statement about exports, the BCTIA says with this investment, we will double our exports. Honourable Speaker, we've seen in the 5 years since 2013 a 37% increase in full-time Canadian jobs in the renewable energy industry. It makes sense that in BC we would head to where the puck is going, like hockey players do. But Honourable Speaker, we have a BC Ice Fund on the books, but there are no longer any dollars or grants of any appreciable amount being used to spur innovation in this particular part of the green economy. Honourable Speaker, we're currently having a referendum on transit investment in the Lower Mainland instead of the government stepping forward and working with the mayors to identify sources for that investment. Honourable Speaker, those transit investments, if made, will create up to 55,000 jobs in construction, plus additional operations jobs. And yet, where is the government on taking leadership on this? And finally, Honourable Speaker, BC is the last market for BC tech companies. Why won't the government follow the lead of governments in the United States and create a connector program to both connect local companies with BC tech company producers, as well as show the way by purchasing itself from BC tech companies instead of leaving them to find markets anywhere else but here at home? I hope and look forward to the day when the BC government treats this sector, the clean and green economy sector, with the same laser-like focus it's bestowed on LNG. Thank you.